Hola, ¿cómo están? Espero que estén bien. I hope that you're all doing well. So I am doing this video essentially to really talk about healing. Granted, a lot of like the content that I talk about is in regards to healing. I do want to let me tell y'all something before I continue. So I live in the Dominican Republic, okay? And people here are accustomed to riding pasolas, which are like, they're not like motorcycles, they're mopeds, right? So there's a lot of people on mopeds and there's a lot of people on motorcycles. And so you can hear all of that in the background a lot. And even though I try to like edit the videos, like you can still hear that. I also live in a rural area, so there's like really no filtration of the sound because I do live in, not in like super tiny neighborhood, but I live in a neighborhood where there's just a lot of dogs and a lot of noise sometimes. Even though it's like next to the mountains, like there's still a lot of noise going on. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a little 411 of the current situation. So I want to talk about a few things here. One of them being that we live in a conscious world, right? Like everything that we feel with our five senses, right? It's the conscious mind. Our conscious mind has been shaped through our life experiences, okay? And so that's just one part, right? But there's another part. That second part is the subconscious mind, which is things that we don't see. So we live, but when we sleep, we can access that subconscious mind. And so basically, in order to shape the conscious mind, or at least like our life experience and how it plays out, we have to go in and change the subconscious mind. And so, you know, a lot of what I've learned through like my practices, and a lot of like the healing modalities that I've incorporated within my journey to self and through healing, is that it is a constant thing, something that you have to continuously do, because there will always be remnants that take you back to that timeline, like the timeline of hurt and anguish and trauma, okay? And so being able to combat that by really shaping our subconscious mind is key, okay? And so our subconscious mind is represented by the things that are unseen, right? I want to add, and if you haven't read this book, it's okay. You can find it on Amazon. It's very affordable. It's less than $10. And the book is called Feeling is the Secret. In this book by Neville Goddard, he talks about the subconscious mind being the female aspect and the conscious mind being the male, which makes complete sense because the male is the action, right? The action and the thinking and the logic. Okay, so how do we break this down further? Like if you know like the yin and the yang, right? You know that in order for them to be married or, you know, united or in balance, you have to have both, right? And so in this example of the conscious mind being the masculine and the subconscious mind being the feminine, you can see that basically, you know, you are trying to find the balance between the two within what we call our manifested reality, okay? And so I'll give you an example of like something that I am presently working on, which is the abundance and all of like this life that I'm creating, okay? Full of abundance, prosperity, and everything divine, right? But I've already like integrated the part that money has nothing to do with that, okay? I have been able to live, to see and experience so many things, and even though like in my like reality, like obviously money had to play a part, but it wasn't the most important part. Why? Because I knew that my power rested in that I needed to live these experiences. Like I needed to do this for myself. And so the money just came, okay? And so like I'm using that and constantly reminding myself that everything will work out. It's already working out, right? The reason why I want to talk about what this is about, like the subconscious and the conscious, and don't get caught up on the jargon. I just want you to know this, that you have the potential, you have the ability to reshape and to live the life that you desire, okay? Whether that be taking trips, whether that be going to visit somebody in a different state, whether it be, because everybody has a different point of like manifestations. And not only that, everybody's on their own path to healing, right? Like some people are very debilitated by like the idea of like moving to a different state, right? Like they're like, how the fuck can I do that? And so they don't, right? So the fact of the matter is, and the reason why I'm making this video is just to remind you of your divinity, that you can travel the world, that you should not be limited, but it all starts with the practices and the work that you do on a daily basis. This sums it all up, and even though it's very broad, love yourself. Like love yourself. To think these big dreams and to know that like they're possible. Like literally it just takes accountability. It takes accountability in the sense of, what is it that I want to feel by obtaining like this experience, right? Or living in such place, or going to visit such place, or having these clothes, or having this product, or you know, having this amount of money. Like what is it that I want to live? Find the feeling. So that this has to do a lot with that book, Feeling is a Secret by Neville Goddard, okay? And he says like, find the underlying feeling, feel it as much as you can, feel it as much as you can, feel it before you go to bed, because essentially when you go to sleep, you're able to access your subconscious mind, okay? And if the subconscious mind is a woman, you want to have all these beautiful plans and ideas and all these thoughts that are like so liberating and free and make you feel so happy. Like you want to have these thoughts before going to sleep, because remember, you're being awakened, like being woke right now. Like living is being conscious. So the male, right? So the male goes to sleep. The male goes home to his woman, the subconscious mind, okay? The woman, and he has to seduce her. He has to love up on her, and he has to, you know, greet her with flowers, okay? Like, baby, I love you, and we're about to do this. And she's gonna be like, okay, and she believes everything that you say. Everything that you say, she believes. So why the fuck are we always talking, like literally what the, like why are we always talking so negative to ourselves? Like literally that causes like the experiences that we live, whether we want to live them or we don't want to live them. And that's just bottom line. So, you know, it's loving yourself enough to be like, I'm gonna live the life that I desire, like today and tomorrow and the next day. I'm gonna give you guys an example. So I had this homegirl, like, she had called me and she was like telling me about, you know, wanting to move out of her mom's house. Like, she was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just need to find a place. And she was having a very, like, difficult time finding a home, okay? So I was like, yo, like, just buy some sheets. Buy some sheets. Buy some for your home, for the new home that you're trying to buy. This is your act of faith. Your act of faith is that this house is coming and this is what you're going to put in your home. Because you don't really have to have the home to really start feeling the positivity that brings having a new home. And so if your plan is to buy all of these things to go into your new home, why are you not doing that now, right? Like, go and furniture shop and say, oh, like, I really like this and this would really fit into my new apartment, whatever. Because I definitely did that, like, with my home, right? So, like, this wasn't just, like, some shitty advice that I randomly read about. Like, this is something I actually did for my home. So, I was like, yeah, just go do this. And, like, she hella listened to me. And then a couple days later, I don't want to say it was, like, a week later because it was less than that. She, like, called me and she's like, I found it. Like, they accepted it. I go this day to, you know, sign the lease and all this stuff. And I was like, what? Like, that is having active faith, okay? It also is living within abundance. I have, like, various teachers in my life too, that where I hear them and I talk to them, and through my filtered experiences, like, I'm able to really understand them because I've been there and I've lived it, right? With, like, because some people will put, like, a spiritual name to something that you've lived, but you just didn't know the name to it, right? So I've been manifesting for a very long time, but I didn't know, like, what it was called and how to really tell people how to do it. Like, now I'm a lot more conscious about it, and I am, like, I love and want to teach people about it, right? And more so just, like, tapping into yourself, healing yourself to see your greatest potential, and that's that. But back to the topic about, you know, opening the portals in terms of, like, abundance, right? So you don't really need money to start feeling a certain way, okay? Because a lot of people will put the money shit, like, in the forefront of, like, the experience, okay? I don't need money to start feeling happy today. I don't need money to make me feel grateful for having this 3-story luxurious home with an ocean view. I don't need money for that. Like, I don't need money to imagine that. Like, I really don't. Nobody does. Like, nobody needs money to start acting different based on the type of life that you want to accomplish and desire to have, right? Like, oh shit, like, I desire to have a 6-pack, like, meanwhile you're still sleeping. That is misalignment, right? Like, you want the 6-pack, you gotta act on it in active faith, right? To love on yourself, because it feels so damn good. You're not doing it for the 6-pack, you're doing it to feel good. Like, so in this case, the 6-pack, right, is the money. You don't need the 6-pack to feel good, right? You need body movement to feel good. So the more body movement you do, the more active you get, the more into it you get, literally the result is going to be the 6-pack, okay? So essentially what I'm trying to say is you are the vessel of prosperity, of abundance, of gratitude, of all the beautiful things in your life. You are the vessel. You are the vessel. And I have so many examples, and I have so many stories to share. But I really, more than anything, just I want y'all to share with me, like, what are some things that you're working on? What are some of the things that maybe you're working to manifest, but there's a blockage and you've identified it? Like, let's talk about that, right? Because I feel like that's part of healing. And once you heal that, like, the manifestation of it comes, right? Because in the point of attraction, there's like least resistance, right? But you're releasing the resistance by going within, figuring out what the blockage is, and then going forward. And so, yeah, like, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, you know, like, what are your blockages? What is hindering your growth? Okay. I know that for me personally, for a very long time, what was hindering me was comfort. Like, the need for me to just be comfortable and like stable, and but it hindered me because I knew that I was in the wrong place. And not like I didn't know physically I was in the wrong place, but I knew mentally I was in the wrong place. But identifying that I was mentally in the wrong place, like, led me to different places. So in those changes, like, I asked for self-transformation, but I wasn't diligent about like in how long. So I asked for it and I received it, and I received that transformation, you know, like those periods of like, what the fuck type of shadow work, like in the span of less than a year, that I was just like, wow, my life is completely different. But I'm so grateful. Like, I'm so grateful for this journey. Like, literally, I'm just like, I'm there. Like, I'm there. Like, I'm living on an island where there's like so much abundance of everything, of love, of humility, of prosperity, of abundance, of food, of fruits, of just green everything, of rivers, of oceans, of mountains, and like just beautiful people. Like, and I really like, what, you know what I mean? Like, and it's in those moments of gratitude, okay? Like, standing in your gratitude and also in your solitude, like, that you find like the immense abundance that is around you. And that also clears your chakras, your energy flow, to continue moving forward. Because what ends up happening is when we fall into victim mentality, so victim mentality is really debilitating to our energy flow when it comes to creativity. Okay, so what that really means, like, let me break that down. So what does it mean when we get stuck in victimhood mentality and we don't activate what it is to be creative? Okay, I'm going to give you an example. If I spend my whole day just complaining about everything, all right, it gives me no energy and absolutely diminishes the capacity of my being to create the life that I truly desire, because I spent all my energy cultivating this hate and like just being so sorry for myself. That shit will kill your vibe. Like literally, sometimes I gotta tell myself in my head, I gotta be grateful. Like, this ain't no victim shit no more. Like, taking full accountability for my life, because at the end of the day, I'm held accountable for what the fuck I do and how I do it. It all just boils down to like accountability. And when you fall into victim mode and victimhood mentality, you're not creating. Okay, and what I mean by not creating, I'm not saying go create the wall of China. Like, don't, like, that's getting too deep. You know what I mean? If you have an idea of how to create a wall like the wall of China, then by all means. But if, you know, you're thinking that high and just the creativity that it takes to like step out of victimhood, which is like literally as easy as, what is the life that I am trying to create? So, you know, whatever that is, like, start creating it in your mind, imagining it in your mind, and feeling it in your body, in your heart. Like, that's creativity. Okay, you're creating that. And so through that experience, like through that creating, like, you leave no room to go down and dig yourself a hole of full negative, pitiful energy, because you're vibing high, you're creating, you're like, no, but I could do this, right? And then like you take actions, right? And then you're like, you know what, maybe I could do this. And then you know, you're doing, but then like you get another spark of creativity, and you know what, I want to do this, and this is how I want to do it. And but the thing here is, energy is no longer stagnant, right? And so when people get stuck, it's because there's stagnation of energy, which is usually not enough body movement. And even if there's not enough body movement, you're not drinking enough water, you're not meditating enough, you're not releasing shit, writing it out, right? Talking it out, writing a poem about it, writing a song, like dancing it out, doing yoga, doing something that at the end of the day is productive to you. Because when we're just doing things that are passive, like being on our phones and letting all of that shit shape our conscious and subconscious mind, right? And we don't take that time for us, like, because what are we cultivating with that time, right? Like, self-love is the best love, and nobody can fucking love you harder and more than yourself, yo. Like, I'm gonna give you guys an example, and I think I spoke about it in another video. It's like, my man can't like love me more than I love myself, because that would mean that he would have to fucking carry me dead ass sleeping in the morning to the gym. That's what him loving me more than I love myself would look like. He would have to literally carry me like a big ass baby and take me to the gym like if I'm going to a fucking daycare. And we're past that. Like, all of that shit has to come from within me, because I love myself and I want to feel good, and like, it's something for me. And so I get my ass up and he just drives me. Like, because he can't love me more than I love myself, right? And this is just from a standpoint of being an adult, but you know, just looking at it from any type of a standpoint, like, we have to learn how to pour into ourselves, because we can't just be pouring into other people's, you know, plants. You know, you're the plant. We can't just keep pouring into other people without pouring into ourselves. And that could take the shape of many different practices. But that will be another topic, right? And so with that being said, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that, you know, we can connect. I hope that you find this video useful, and that, you know, essentially we're able to connect at some point. You know, drop a comment, let me know what it is that in your life you're trying to manifest, but like there's just a blockage. Like, let's work through that. You know, that this is your healing is part of my healing. Like, this is part of my healing, yo. So let me know. You know, I have a lot of tools, I have a lot of wisdom, I have a lot of knowledge. I love to share. Okay, so hit me up. I love y'all. Mucho amor.